Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to explore a really fascinating piece of writing. It's called The Language of Quiet Cafes.
Yeah, it's quite something. It takes this very specific experience, just visiting one particular cafe, but pulls out these really broad insights. Things about communication, silence.
Presence, even learning, right?
Yeah.
In ways you wouldn't expect.
Exactly. So our mission really is to unpack what this writing can tell us about connection, about understanding. And we're using this journey, this experience in the cafe, as our map, you could say.
It starts beautifully just getting there. The writing paints this picture of walking down a narrow street, curving down towards the sea.
Oh, yeah, you can almost feel it. The cobblestones underfoot, the little balconies, with laundry hanging out, maybe some old flowers.
That smell in the air, salt, bread, just time.
And it's described as a path you know when you've walked before, past that cat that's always watching, heading towards the sea, even before you can quite hear it.
And then you turn a corner, and there it is, the cafe. But it's subtle.
Very unassuming. The author says you could easily miss it. Just this small, sort of faded, hand-painted sign. No neon lights, no loud music leaking out.
Just that one window, a bit fogged up, and a dark wooden door.
A door you've probably walked past loads of times, maybe even stopped for a second, wondered.
Hesitated. And then this time you actually push it open. So let's talk about that moment. Pushing the door, and there's no bell, nothing, just a soft click. What does that signal right away?
Well, that's silence, the lack of a chime. It's like an immediate cue, isn't it? Sort of whispers, okay, slow down now, this is different.
Yeah, it sets a tone. Quiet. Intentional.
And then you step inside, and everything just shifts. The whole atmosphere changes.
Warm light, described as amber. Textured walls, tables that don't match but feel right.
And that smell coffee, obviously. But something sweet, too. Maybe a hint of old wood. It's an immediate sense of calm. Like stepping into a different time zone almost.
It feels intimate, timeless. But the really striking thing, like you said, is the communication. Or maybe the lack of spoken words.
Right. Nobody's talking. Not the barista, not the other people sitting there. It's a completely different way of interacting.
It seems like it all happens through presence.
Yeah.
Gestures.
Yeah, eyes meet, someone nods, maybe a tiny smile. The barista doesn't say, "What can I get you?" They just act. Slide the saucer over, place a napkin.
You point, they nod. That's it.
And the piece describes this feeling of being understood, even welcomed, without a single word. It really makes you question if language always needs sound,
And that unique atmosphere, it allows for this really deep sense of stillness once you're inside. You find a seat, maybe by that window with the view.
Looking out of the sea, the gulls, and just wrapping your hands around the warm cup, that simple physical thing, it anchors you.
Mm-hmm. And the description of the taste, it's not just coffee. It's soft evenings, stillness, old wooden tables. It captures the whole feeling of the place.
Exactly. Like the place itself infuses the drink.
Ah.
And there's this line about feeling like you needed this place without knowing you needed it.
And the relief of not having to explain why. You can just be.
Yeah, just be. And the quiet, it's not portrayed as empty. It's described as breathing, holding space.
There are sounds, but they're different sounds.
Right. Soft footsteps, the whisper of a spoon stirring sugar, maybe someone turning a page, a chair scraping, but gently, like it's done on purpose.
It's the absence of the usual noise pollution, isn't it? No music blaring, no constant chatter fighting for attention.
Instead, the writing suggests there's this feeling of something always playing, but it's played through presence, breath, slight movements, pauses. The silence itself has a kind of texture, subtle rhythm.
And being in that quiet space, you naturally start observing others more closely. The writing really focuses on these unspoken interactions.
Yeah, like that couple mentioned, near the wall. They're sitting together, not talking, but they share these glances, these small smiles.
And the insight is that the glance itself is the conversation. It says, I see you, I know you're here.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging presence, not just swapping information. It's a complete interaction.
Or you notice the young guy sketching, completely absorbed. His pencil pauses. The woman ordering 2 coffees just by holding up 2 fingers.
These tiny moments, these gestures, they feel really significant in that quiet. They challenge our default mode, which is usually talking, right?
Mm-hmm. The writing calls them conversations, just ones happening through looks and shared space.
It reinforces that idea. The silence isn't empty. It's actually full of understanding, maybe permission to just be.
Such a contrast to your average busy cafe where all the noise can sometimes feel like static almost. blocking connection rather than enabling it.
This place offers something different, softer.
And observing all this, these quiet little scenes, it seems to spark a kind of learning process in the writer.
Definitely. Watching the older man reading his paper, or the artist sketching the corner of the room, and the description is she's drawing silence, the space between things. That's powerful.
Or the child writing, you can just about hear the crayon. These aren't lessons in a traditional sense.
No, not at all. But the writer feels like these silent observations are like conversations. They're shaping how they think, teaching something fundamental about connection, about understanding, just by being present and watching.
It's described as learning to listen differently, not just waiting for words, but tuning into everything else.
You're learning, without anyone actually saying anything to you.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
And that quiet observation also seems to unlock something else. The writing calls it a language of possibility.
Right. Sitting there, your mind starts to wander. You start to imagine.
What would it be like if people started talking? What questions could you have asked the person next to you? It plays with those what ifs, might, would, could.
But it's not about regret, like, oh, I should have spoken. It's more that these unspoken possibilities are also part of the experience. They're language not spoken but lived, carried inside you.
Like writing them down is capturing these little internal wishes. It's a really thoughtful reflection on what quiet spaces hold. So when the writer returns to the cafe after having these thoughts, it feels changed. Or maybe they've changed.
Yeah, the street might look the same, the door still opens without a sound.
But something inside you is different, quieter.
And there's this moment where their usual seat, the one by the window, is taken, but instead of being disappointed, they sit somewhere else and realize it's okay. The peace isn't just about the view.
It's the place itself, the atmosphere, the shared presence.
And they start noticing these key words that seem to capture the whole experience. Cup, steam, glance, corner table.
Familiar seat, they're like little anchors to the feeling.
And this leads to thinking about fluency in a totally new way.
Not vocabulary lists or grammar rules.
No. It's a different kind of fluency. A fluency in feeling, inhabiting this language of presence.
There are those amazing lines. I've never spoken in that cafe, but I've said so much.
And I've learned so much without saying anything at all. It hits hard, that realization.
That the deepest connections, the things that really stay with you, sometimes don't need words. They happen in that shared quiet. And it's not a feeling that's trapped inside the cafe, is it? The writing describes carrying it with you, sitting somewhere else entirely, maybe looking at rooftops.
That's still holding on to that quiet feeling. You notice what stayed with you, certain words, maybe specific moments, the overall sense of calm.
You realize going back wasn't just about the coffee. It was about needing that softer space where communication happened through gestures, through just being there together.
And it leads to this quite profound idea of having found my voice.
Which sounds like a paradox, right? Finding your voice through silence.
Exactly. But it's not about speaking louder. It's about finding a different way to express, to connect through embracing that quiet presence, a different dimension of communication.
So ultimately, this journey through the language of quiet cafes, it really shows us, well, how much richness there is beyond just spoken words.
Yeah, the power of unspoken connection, how much understanding, how much warmth can actually be passed through just a look, a simple gesture, being present.
And the value, maybe the necessity sometimes, of just stepping away from all the noise, to just be, observe, and listen differently.
That quiet cafe becomes this incredible teacher, doesn't it? About language itself, about connection.
It really drives home that meaning isn't just in the words, but often in the spaces between them, in the pauses, the shared silence.
So maybe a thought to leave you with as you go about your day, which is probably full of noise and demands. Where are you having conversations in silence?
Yeah, what's being communicated to you, or what are you feeling that doesn't rely on words? Maybe. What have you learned recently, truly learned, without saying anything at all?
Thanks for watching till the end. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and leave a comment below. Sparkles, and most importantly, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update.